If you're looking to make solar simple, give Ron Domenico with AD Energy a call. All-day energy made simple. Solar solutions with zero down, options to lease or finance, and roofs and trees are no issue. Call Ron Domenico at 609-226-2802 and tell him you saw him on the Sports Box.
Well, hello again, and welcome to the show that Starbucks coffee has nothing on us. This is the Sports Box. The only thing that matters.
Really?
It's right here. I am Mike.
You knocked my water over.
A.K.A. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner Brian, the Ranger of Tar.
Hi, I got my drink.
Brian, I say how are you, buddy? Knocked your water over. How are you today, Brian?
I mean, really? So, no, really. I mean, you can't even launch the thing. You gotta have it land in front of my face. Knock my lid was on. You're lucky.
You done? Okay. Good.
What about Starbucks coffee? I for the record, I am a Starbucks Gold Card member since 2009.
This is a 20-minute show here. Today we are talking on our Part 2 coverage for the draft mocks that we are going on. Picks 9 through 16. And let's start it off with the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati, what can you say about Cincinnati? I wouldn't say a lot of needs, but they do have some big holes to fill. And I think they're going to be very happy to see Reuben Foster, linebacker from Alabama, still there. And even though Foster has some off-the-field issues with what happened at the Combine, failing his second physical, things like that, I don't think it matters to the Bengals. I think they take him at the linebacker spot. I think Reuben Foster's a good fit.
I think they'd love it if Jonathan Allen was there for him at 9, and we don't think he's going to be there. Nope. So I agree with you. I think they go linebacker Reuben Foster out of Alabama. What's interesting about the Bengals is, for all of the crap that Andy Dalton gets,
yep.
I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find guys you'd rather have than him, realistically. So I think that obviously he's going to be there for the foreseeable future. They have playmakers on the inside and on the outside. That's not an issue. Their defense, though, they do need to have some things addressed there. And I think Reuben Foster definitely fills a need for them. They are pretty happy to see him there at 9. I think that's the way that they go. However, again, I think if they had their pick at the draft, it would be Jonathan Allen, realistically.
Oh, absolutely.
I just think he's not going to be there for them.
It's going to be a plan B move, and Reuben Foster will be there for them at the number 9 spot. So number 10, we go to the Buffalo Bills. And Ryan, I said this is a quarterback short draft, but for a team like Buffalo that needs a quarterback, I think you got to look to Mitchell Trubisky from quarterback from North Carolina. Now, it's funny to say a quarterback from North Carolina would be off the board at number 10, but he is a second quarterback in this draft. Kid's got a lot of heart. He may not have a huge arm. He can throw a pass on a dime, though. Again, like quarterback draft, I think the Bills got to fulfill a need. They got to go Trubisky.
And that's the problem. It's the problem because you start. I'm a big guy of best player available at a position of need, and for Buffalo, I mean, yeah, they need to figure this out at quarterback. I'm reminded of when they took E.J. Manuel at a very similar position a couple years ago that did not work out. Excuse me. There's some talk of even Mike Williams here. I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
Because you got somebody throwing the ball.
Would it be nice to have 2 wide receivers out there? Yeah, but nobody throwing the ball.
You can't just dial 1-800 and get a quarterback, Bill Parcells. So yeah, I think Trubisky's their pick. Do I think it's a great pick? I have my questions. I really do. But again, for a team like Buffalo in a division where everybody's playing second fiddle to New England, it's not a winnable division, but it's a division where you can very easily finish second and get a wild card.
Yep.
Because the other 3 teams, the Jets are in disarray. We'll get to the Dolphins later on. I agree with you. I think Trubisky's going to be their pick, and for better or for worse.
At the number 11 pick, we have the New Orleans Saints, where I think the Saints need to address the defense in a hurry. A lot of these teams, we looked at defense. I think it's going to be defensive-minded draft again. Defense wins you Super Bowls. Let's come down to it. And the Saints have been a doormat in the league in the way of getting thrown on, run on. They've been a team that Drew Brees, thankfully, is throwing 5,000 yards a year because they can't stop anybody. So I think that has to start now. And with them having 2 picks in the first round, this is going to be a big pick for them. And I think at the number 11 spot, you got to take Garrett Connolly, cornerback from Ohio State. I definitely think here's a guy that could step in and be a starter right away for a defense that's basically ailing.
Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston. These are the 3 quarterbacks you're playing in the NFC South, and you have to be able to take half the field away from these guys. Even the receivers that they're up against, Julio Jones,
Mike Evans.
Carolina is escaping me right now. I can't think of his name. Calvin Benjamin. Thank you very much. I'm not a Benjamin fan, so it's escaping me. Given the 2 picks, now again, they have not been able to address corner at all. They were not able to make any kind of deal for Malcolm Butler with the Patriots, at least not by the time of filming, so we're going to go with that. I think Conley is the absolute pick. And they are hoping, again, that the Browns do something stupid at 1 that finds a way for them to end up with Marshawn Lattimore. I don't see it. I think if Lattimore falls after 3, I think he continues to fall to where they are. But I don't think it's going to happen. So for them, Conley is absolutely a phenomenal pick for them.
At the number 12 pick, the Cleveland Browns, and their second pick in the first round, I think definitely are going to be loving this pick to find O.J. Howard, a tight end from Alabama here. Here's a guy that can step in and be a tight end. Absolutely. Now, another pro set offense guy, played in the Alabama system, is an absolute monster. This kid goes, I think, about 6'4", roughly around 230. Monster of a kid, can step in, be a playmaker, which, like we said before, Cleveland needs playmakers.
No, absolutely. And you know what? They're the beneficiary here, Mike, because I don't think anybody but them needs tight ends. No. There's talk of maybe Corey Davis. Now, I don't see that because you already have Corey Coleman. I know that you have a gap there because Terrell Pryor left. But, they shouldn't reach for a quarterback. I know that's going to be the urge is to reach for a quarterback. I don't think it's in their best interest. There will be next year. Listen, I'm going to break some news to the Sports Box fans here. The Browns ain't going to the playoffs next year. No. Now, I know you need a second to process that. Okay, you're good. They need to address this in a big way.
You've got to rebuild this.
Absolutely. Whatever quarterback that you bring in, if you have established playmakers like a Corey Coleman, like an O.J. Howard for him to work with when he gets there, you're going to speed up his development. I think O.J. Howard, phenomenal pick for the Browns. They need playmakers.
And this team has proven they can't make this team good overnight with their picks. So they got to take the time to really lay the foundation and get this thing right. At number 13, the Arizona Cardinals, I think it's a perfect situation for them to get this wide receiver that's an absolute monster. Although he has some ligament issues, didn't work out, I don't care. I take him here. I take Corey Davis, wide receiver from Western Michigan. I think it definitely addresses the needs that the Cardinals need. Who knows how long Fitzgerald's going to play? And to learn from this guy, one of the best in the league, I think is a no-brainer. You've got to take Corey Davis.
There's some talk of them going with a quarterback here. I just don't see that. I don't see that because I think that they're going to ride Carson Palmer into the ground. I think Bruce Arians is comfortable with him as long as he's playing. So you want to give him as many tools, as possible. They ended up losing Michael Floyd, which is probably just fine for everybody involved. But they're going to need another receiver there because John Brown's John Brown, and like you mentioned, Fitzgerald. They need a guy they can count on, for years to come. And
who can learn from Fitzgerald.
Absolutely. Wonderful mentor. So Corey Davis there. Now, there's going to be some people who say, well, why are you going to take Corey Davis over Mike Williams? I just think he's a better fit. I think I have my questions on Mike Williams, frankly, myself. I don't think they're going to go with receiver. Now, the thing about John Ross here, too. Now, John Ross is a speed guy. They already have a speed guy. So, in John Brown. I just don't think that's going to be a good fit there. Corey Davis, to me, I think is just a beautiful, like a glove fit for the Cards.
Yeah, I guess you like the pick.
I do.
Good. Okay. So, before we get to the 14th pick, our hometown Philadelphia Eagles pick, we'll be right back.
This episode of the Sports Box is brought to you by Mic'd Up Entertainment and DJ Mike Velardi. For all of your event planning needs, make sure you contact Mike at 609-864-5925 and tell him that you saw him on the Sports Box.
And we're back. And here we go, number 14 pick, our hometown Philadelphia section pick, the Philadelphia Eagles. And on the line to help us with this pick is our, well, I don't want to call him a guru because his head will get pretty big and swollen. But anyway, he's a good guy. He knows about the Eagles. And we got him on the line right now. Anthony Marella. Anthony, welcome back to the show, pal.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Brian. What's going on?
Not too much, brother. How are you?
Don't be afraid to throw the term guru out there, especially when you're talking to him.
Well, I just don't want to hear the big inflation of the head. You won't be able to get through door frames. But
you're going to hear it anyway.
Anyway, we will move on to the pick. Anthony, Eagles picking at 14. A lot of needs thrown around here. People have talked about running back, wide receiver. I think definitely cornerback or safety, or definitely cornerback. What do you think? What's going on with the Eagles?
You know what? Based on what you guys have off the board already, I'm actually going to throw a curveball, and I don't know if it's that big of a curveball, but I'm going to go with Charles Harris, the defensive end from Missouri. He is a big-time nonstop motor, big time pass rushing defensive end. Has all the moves in the book. Reminds me a little bit of Dwight Freeney in his prime. It's definitely a need for the Eagles. You can actually pinpoint. You can go around the entire roster and say, okay, the Eagles need everything except for a quarterback. And I think in this situation, help the defense.
Best available,
And wait. Yeah, I think he is best available, and I would wait on a corner because of the strength of this class.
Okay, you could do that. But like, and it's a shame to say this, Anthony. This guy could turn out to be a stud. He could be turned out to be a rookie of the year or whatever. But I just think from what I've heard of the Philadelphia fans the last couple weeks and couple months of the needs that they have, they think they've needed out the running back position, the wide receiver, and the cornerback position. If this guy gets drafted, he is going to be booed mercifully, even if Philadelphia with the draft. So hopefully not. But we will see.
Yeah, you know
what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I guess the thing for me is, they're hosting the draft, and I'm reminded of the Donovan McNabb incident where he was booed mercilessly when he was taken second overall over Ricky Williams. And by our mock, Anthony, there are some very interesting offensive names that are still there, including wide receiver Mike Williams out of Clemson, including running back Dalvin Cook out of Florida State. So these are guys who, being in the area, I know that Eagles fans are overly enamored with.
Yep.
I am of the belief that defense is absolutely the way that they need to go. So I agree with you there. I guess my question for you is, it looks like that Malik Hooker out of Ohio State is falling down the board right now after not being taken by San Diego at 7.
Yep.
What makes you lean more towards linebacker with Hooker staring you in the face at 14?
Well, the reason is because I really feel like the best formula for a good defense is a really strong pass rush. And you have Brandon Graham, who's going to be 29, or he already is 29, going to be 30. He's coming off one of his best years ever, and then you have question marks after that. Vinny Curry didn't have a strong year as they had hoped. And past him, there's almost no depth there other than a 33-year-old Chris Long. So you really need to replenish your pass rushers in a big way. I think this is a perfect draft to do it. This edge class is almost as good as the cornerback class. So I think you can wait on corners. With Hooker, I know a lot of teams are playing a lot more 3 safety in the NFL now because of the way the league is with how important passing is. But they have 2 solid safeties, and I'm a big proponent that you draft best player available. But I feel that when it's that close, I think Charles Harris gives them a little bit more of an edge, no pun intended, than Hooker would.
I guess the one thing I'll say is I'm going to make a wrestling reference. You ready, Mike?
Oh, jeez.
Howie Roseman's going to need grapefruits the size of Vince McMahon to not take Dalvin Cook or Mike Williams holding this draft in Philly. It'll tell me a lot about his leadership if he doesn't go that way. I think he shouldn't. I agree with you entirely. It goes defense. We'll see which way they go. But
you never turn down a Hooker that early. Absolutely, right?
I guess
from the Atlantic City.
It depends on the price, right, Mike?
It's all
Maybe
about
14's
price.
too high a price here.
It's all about price. It's all about price.
You're right, guys. And you can make the argument for Cook or Williams or McCaff or any of those guys, but I would think if you can complete your offense that way, but I don't think it would be in their best long-term interest.
Okay, so the official sports box pick for the Philadelphia Eagles at 14 is Charles Harris.
Absolutely.
Mizzou's own Charles Harris.
Here it is.
Linebacker out of Missouri.
By the way, because you don't see him until
They'll be calling him a lot. They'll be calling him a lot worse if he doesn't pan out at 14. But anyway, we want to thank Anthony Marella, the let's say guru of the Eagles.
I thought you were going to say that.
They get I had to. If not, he's going to start crying. So.
Thank you.
He's going to start crying if I don't. So anyway, Anthony, thank you for getting on and helping us out with the pick. We really appreciate it as always.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
Absolutely. So before we
draft.
That's right. So we have the Colts pick at 15 coming up. But before that, we'll be right back.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or rent in the South Jersey area, give Dave Birbaum a call with RE/MAX Community, 856-524-2927, and buy with Burn.
And here we go with the number 15 pick to the Indianapolis Colts. And, the Colts are a funny team. The Colts, you want to think they're that special of a team and they're up at the top. And they should be with Andrew Luck and the things that they have. But, with Frank Gore aging and, T.Y. Hilton hurt a little bit last year, they should be okay in those categories again this year. But I think the Colts got to address some needs, and one of the needs is defensive end, to get somebody to give a little bit of push off the end, and I think that pick is Tacariste McKinley. Definitely a pick they need to do, defensive end out of UCLA. Here's a guy who played in the Pac-12 conference, that is a tough conference in itself, played for a UCLA team that played very well this year. I think McKinley's definitely the pick.
I think he's a great pick there. I think he's a great pick because I think he's the best defensive player left on the board, and I think if you're the Colts, you really better go defense because you don't do it enough.
Yep.
And that's their biggest Achilles heel. You know, when they were losing games last year, Mike, it wasn't because Andrew Luck wasn't playing well when he was playing. It was because they just couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to get that pass rush going. You know, as Anthony mentioned in the Eagles pick, you know, you got to have a solid pass rush. That's one of the most important things on your defense because it makes your secondary much better. If your pass rush can get to a quarterback. I think McKinley's phenomenal there as a pick.
Yeah. And our last pick of this round last pick of the segment is number 16, the Baltimore Ravens, and I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to be surprised at this pick. Normally in the past, you'd see this team go defense, defense, defense. I think they start off on the offensive side of the ball this year. I think with a guy that's coming out of college can step right into this role and be a playmaker for Joe Flacco, and that's Mike Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. Here's a guy who's proven his net worth in his bowl game. Solid player, not an injury guy. I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean, for Baltimore, yeah. I mean, again, I think if we did this show about a month ago, people would be surprised that Mike Williams is there at 16.
Yep.
A lot of people, especially in this area, thought he might be a fit at 14 for the Eagles, but again, they've addressed a lot of that in free agency. I think for Baltimore, you know, I think they were just a team that was just riddled by injuries, and I think that was a big reason why they finished where they finished and didn't make the playoffs last year. To get a guy of Williams' ability at 16, I think is great. I think Harbaugh's going to love him. I think Flacco's going to love him. I think he gives that big target that they need in that offense, and I think it's great. I can't imagine Baltimore skipping him if he's there. So if our mock holds true, I think Mike Williams is a pick for sure.
Well, that's all the time we have. We want to thank you for watching 9 through 16. You know, we're going to have some good stuff coming. You can always get us on social media if you need to.
For sure. Again, this is part 2 of 4, so there's going to be parts 3 and 4 and part 1, which you may not have seen already. And you can only see that if you subscribe to the Sports Box. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really do appreciate that. But Mike, as you mentioned, we are all over social media. At Sports Box Show on Twitter, at Sports Box Show on Facebook. We want to hear from you guys. If you like where we're going with this draft, do you think that we're really off with the picks that we're making? Let us know. We want to hear from you, for sure.
Absolutely. And remember, keep watching. We always got 3-4 common parts for draft mocks, so keep an eye out. So we just want to tell you that at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is still right here. Thanks for watching. See you. 1, 2, 3.
Don't forget to subscribe.